Earlier this year, a free little indie game came out that really blew me away, and I'm honestly a little embarrassed that I didn't find out about it sooner because I really liked it. The game in question is a weird little surrealist game called The New Flesh, a game made to promote a new album from an indie band that I am a big fan of, Red Vox. The only problem is this game is really short and I don't have too awful much to talk about like I normally do, which is why I'm going to expand this into a larger video diving into the discography of Red Vox, because I really like this band and I want to talk about it, okay? I'm going to cover the game a little bit, but then we're going to talk and go through each album and one EP, covering the highlights and the evolution of the band's songs, and of course, I want to talk about how I discovered this band for my own amusement, since I find it just a little bit funny. Buckle up, everybody, we're going to scoot the burbs and explore the wonders of indie rock as we talk about The New Flesh, and also Red Vox. The New Flesh is, unsurprisingly, a surrealist nightmare straight out of a Cronenberg movie, specifically Videodrome, which is where it got its name from and a key visual, but besides the point. We start this little game off in an apartment vegged out on a couch when we realize there's nothing on TV, there's nothing in the fridge, and someone is at the door. Who could it be now? Well, all that matters is they managed to slide a VHS tape under the door, we pop that shit into the VCR, and we get a real weird and trippy opening sequence before we get launched out the door onto the street in front of a man in a trench coat, telling you to find 3 VHS tapes around these weird-ass streets while a brand new Red Vox song plays, entitled The New Flesh. The game goes from there, and this is where I encourage you to play the game on your own, because that's all I'm going to talk about in terms of the plot of the game. The real meat of the game comes from exploring the world and encountering all the secrets and bits contained within. As you explore the world of The New Flesh, you uncover various album covers and songs in hidden locations, with special collectibles being really well hidden, and with those special collectibles leading to, you guessed it, more hidden things. It's really a cool game to just sit down and play for a while to look around for everything, and it's free. There's so many stupid areas. The ball pit full of vomit comes to mind immediately alongside the infinite hallway, but there's also some really cool areas like the solarium, the temple, and the desert. Every one of these areas has a distinct track tied to it, and it's all great. I absolutely love the weird aesthetics of the game. It's all so crazy and unhinged and delightful, and I really need you to experience it for yourself. Everything is so well made, and for a game you could 100% in 2 hours or less, and again, this game is the experience. It's very unique and bizarre, and just oozing with charm and style, and the music is so good, which is why I'm about to spend the next however many minutes this video ends up being talking about all 5 Red Vox albums. 6 if you count Visions and Afterthoughts as 2 separate albums rather than a double album, and one of the EPs that are currently out, because I want to. The first official Red Vox album is What Could Go Wrong. This is probably the best place to start if you don't know Red Vox, as this is a very normal indie grunge rock album. This album feels very 90s rock, and I won't complain about that. I love the emphasis on guitar and drum this album has, while also being pretty varied sonically. The first 3 tracks alone feel very distinct while also fitting an overarching vibe. There She Goes has a smoother feel to it, reminiscent of really any Pixies song that isn't Where Is My Mind. Atom Bomb is a lot harder sounding and has a lot more energy to it that almost reminds me of a Foo Fighters song. And the third track, We Had a Little Talk, has the spirit of a Nirvana song inside it. Then there's one of my personal favorite songs on the album, Back to School, which is a very fun song with the music, but lyrically it's a tad darker to contrast to the fun nature of the instruments. Like, this bitch got like a xylophone in it. We're having fun while also being a little depressed, and God, that sounds familiar. Anyways, the 5th track, Telephone, is a lot of fun for a song that, as much as I can interpret it, is a song about drug dependency.
Remember that funny feeling you couldn't live without.
The sixth track, Wrong Side of History, is a bit more Smashing Pumpkins than traditional grunge. Along the Way feels very Beck-inspired. Hazy feels very Pearl Jam-esque. Job in the City is a fast-paced jam that's a hard slap in the face compared to the slower pace of Hazy. And then we get to the final 4 tracks. She Missed the Beat is even faster and aggressive, and definitely has that mumbly grunge vocal at the start that you all know and love, before it mellows out and becoming a lot more intelligible, before dropping right back into that aggressive chorus that's a lot of fun. And this goes into a slower track called Ghost Page that feels reminiscent of Creep.
When you were here.
No, not that Creep. The Stone Temple Pilots song Creep. Right down to how it starts a little soft, then builds into this incredible hard riff that feels so good to hear, which is what makes the second to last song incredibly weird and interesting. Long Lonely Nights starts off feeling like a grungier Tom Petty if you're cool, or a little early Radiohead-esque if you're a creep that doesn't belong here. But that final track, In a Dream, really sets up for the more synthy and experimental sophomore album, Another Light. In a Dream feels Pink Floyd-inspired in parts, Beatles-inspired in others, and the ending is a Warm Place by Nine Inch Nails-inspired ambient version of the Another Light song's riff, which is a phenomenal little teaser for what was to come. As a whole, I do really enjoy What Could Go Wrong. However, I think this album suffers just a little from me knowing what comes after, and with what comes after being so amazing and special. This is not my favorite Red Vox album, because of course my favorite has to be The Weird Outlier, and I want to be clear that I don't hate a single song on this album. I just like the songs that come later a lot more, and you'll know exactly which album it is based on how long I talk about it for. That said, this is a good starting point to get into Red Vox, and ironically, you can't go wrong with What Could Go Wrong. To talk about the only EP I'm going to be talking about, I would like to read you the artist statement. For our next album, we wanted to strive for more depth and experimentation. This is not that album. This is Blood Bagel. Fuck you. Red Vox. That says everything you need to know about this EP. It really does. It is a lot more aggressive and is very much taking the piss out of 90s hard rock. And I only want to talk about one song on the album, then that's the one that's really worth talking about at all, is Vomit in the Ball Pit. This track is a stupid little song about exactly what the title says, vomit in a ball pit, which is why that gag in the New Flesh is simply just a literal ball pit full of vomit. I love it, it's loud, it's stupid, and by God is it cool as all hell, while also being a total shitpost of an EP. What I mean by that is every song is incredibly crass and vulgar and contains all of the insane imagery that is very much of the lead singer's humor. Another Light is Red Vox's real sophomore effort, and it's one of people's favorite albums from the band. I absolutely get it. This shit goes hard. I mean, Settle for Less hits like crack, but I'm getting ahead of myself by a track, and I need to introduce this album properly. Another Light is a lot more synthy, a lot more prog rock-esque, and the jump in quality from What Could Go Wrong to this album is extremely noticeable. Anyhows, the first track, the titular Another Light, is a real gem of a track. It comes out the gate swinging with this jam about changing your perspective and seeing things in another light. It's not too complex, but man, that sound is phenomenal. It's so rich and full, and it sounds incredible. And the cool thing about this album is that there are actually smooth transitions between each track, and it sounds incredible, as Another Light flows seamlessly into Settle for Less. Settle for Less is a reflection on chasing success, settling for less, and being unhappy. The lyrics are delivered beautifully, all of the instruments support them brilliantly, and it's great. The third track, Memories Lie, is not my favorite. It's a little too Midwest emo for my taste, but then the final 2 minutes-ish turn into this almost Daft Punk-esque synthesized vocal that goes so hard and definitely makes the track better compared to how it starts. Tell Me, the fourth track on the album, starts in this slow way that sounds beautiful, then it morphs into an almost alt-rock version of Skyfall by Adele, which makes it a very unique track. The next song, I'm So Happy, is, I hate to say it, just a diet version of Lithium by Nirvana if it was about getting dumped. I don't mean it derogatorily, I just can't listen to this song without immediately thinking they put a really interesting cover of Lithium on the album. Probably because it starts with the line, I'm so happy, and rather than going into Lithium, which is, I'm so happy because today I found my friends, it goes, I'm so happy for you, which is not the point. I do really like this song because it feels like a more relaxed Nirvana, and it has the sound to match that description perfectly. The next song, I'm So Sad, has the bones of a Buttholes Surfer song, and it serves as a direct contrast to I'm So Happy since they have ironic titles. But that's all I have to say since I want to move on to the next track. Memento Mori is a great little existential track. The problem is that the background instrumental is quite literally the Ocarina of Time shop music, and it kinda ruins the song for me a little bit since I can't unhear it. I feel bad too, because this song is so damn good, and it's just existential enough that it makes me feel, but not so hard that I'm going to be unable to sleep because of it. The instrumental outro is genuinely so good, and it almost makes you forget about the Ocarina of Time comparison. Anyhow, the next track might be my favorite song that's officially on the album. From the Stars feels very similar to the Bowie album and song The Man Who Sold the World, with a little hint of the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. And after doing a little digging, this was 100% intentional, as this song was released exactly 1 year after David Bowie died. And like all good things, it was revealed to the lead singer in a dream. No, really. The lead singer said, quote, I had a dream. I heard the whole fucking song, almost in a dream. A lot of it. I woke up remembering and made a demo immediately. And I can't blame him. It's an amazing song. The next track, though, is really interesting and weird because it feels like a James Bond theme, and it's a song about regret. It's another song about regret. It's very jazzy, I'll give it to them. I'll give it that. But it's just overshadowed by From the Stars. And the two tracks we haven't gotten to yet. Track 10 is a real prog rock-esque song about going to Reno to gamble, drink, and experience the wondrous vices the desert has to offer, and how it ruins you and all that fun stuff. It's got a really catchy chorus and a really cool desert-esque sound, and this is all fine and cool, but the next track is one of the best on the album. In the Garden, track 11, is a masterpiece of a song. It's got synth, it's got a kick-ass drum, the vocals have a hint of Sky Hill to them. It's just a wondrous song about being betrayed, being a monster, dealing with anxiety and fear and all that jazz. It's a real gem of a track, I tell you. And once more, there's a reason this is one of people's favorite Red Vox songs, period. Also, this song section in the New Flesh is really cool, even if it's a really simple visual of a garden where my friends plot to bury me. The next track, Forgive and Forget, feels a lot like the song The Downward Spiral from 9 Inch Nails' The Downward Spiral. This almost ambient type of track that just hits with drum and sound and very minimal vocals. And it even serves a similar purpose to The Downward Spiral on The Downward Spiral, as it leads into probably the best song on the album, Hurt. Or in the case of Forgive and Forget, Burn a Picture. Burn a Picture is a very slow and introspective track, a lot like Hurt is, and I swear I'm done talking about The Downward Spiral now. Burn a Picture is slow, it's haunting. It's all about burning down your ego and coming out of it with a new perspective, as seeing things in another light can help you on the long journey to finding actual happiness and recovering from the infinite sadness. I mean, that's what I get out of it, a twinge of hope that things can get better, because that's the perfect way to end the album. Red Vox's third album, Kerosene, is an enigma even more than Blood Bagel is. What started off as just a 5 to 6 track EP quickly evolved into a full 10-track album that is just so phenomenal. Kerosene is the acoustic album, and it's very different compared to other Red Vox, as this is their quintessential sad bastard TM album. The thing with this album is that I can remember the exact place I was when I first heard it. I was walking to my campus's dining hall to get some food pretty late at night, and having listened to the other two albums and EP I've already covered, figured I was off to listen to their next album chronologically, which was Kerosene. And as I was walking into the dining hall, I was absolutely floored by this album from track 1, and I loved all of it, especially the 6th track, but we'll get to that. We're gonna start with the start. Track 1, Define Me. This track is so mellow and chill and has this interesting theme about finding yourself and keeping hope even if you feel like you're drowning. It's a very hopeful song compared to some of the depths we're going to head to, especially with the repetition of the line, "I got a feeling it'll all work out." The actual music does a phenomenal job of immediately distinguishing this album from the other ones and setting a sonic tone that sets the expectations for what you're going to get beautifully. Foot in the Door is almost like a Beck song, where the lyrics feel a little nonsensical and the delivery is a little strange at times. The sound is really hypnotic in a way that stands out compared to the other songs, and I enjoy it a lot. Kerosene feels like the most folk Red Vox has ever gotten. It's got a punch to the delivery and sound reminiscent of a slower Mountain Goats song, maybe something like Tallahassee or Peacocks. As a whole, though, this song tells its own little story about fire being set on fire, being judged harshly, people really showing their teeth. Yeah, this would be right at home on Tallahassee. Running to Forget is another Mountain Goats-esque song. This one feels a lot more country than the last one, and I mean country proper, not any of that cold jeans on a Friday night, a pair of beer that fits just right, pop country shit. This is a real depressive little reflection on running away from regret and pain, how there's no second chances when you cross the line, and it's a unique little track that captures the aesthetic and vibe of the album brilliantly. If you ask someone to best encapsulate Kerosene in a single song, you wouldn't be wrong to pick this one. The next track, Never Gonna Win, is the song chosen to represent the album in the New Flesh's section referencing this album. I get it. This song goes hard. The line about the penalty of sin goes hard. The themes about unraveling and falling apart because you've spread yourself too thin hit close to home, and there's nothing wrong with it, but this isn't what I would have picked. I do love how this song sounds, and this feels a lot closer to a traditional Red Vox song in comparison to the rest of the album, but it's not the best representation of what the track list it's a part of is, unlike our next track and my personal favorite. Heavy Little Heart is my favorite Red Vox song, no questions asked. I don't entirely know why this song just hit me like a fucking semi, but man, it hits me so hard. Sonically, this song is so stripped down, really just a guitar and the vocals, along with some slight support from other things I'm not musically literate enough to identify. But the real star of the show is the lyrics. Just from the start, the first verse, "When the coldest year gets colder, where you gonna run? When your heavy heart gets older, did you have your fun?" Sets a tone that I absolutely adore. And then the chorus, oh my god, that chorus! Got a heavy little heart beside you. The delivery of it just does so much for me, and the way the outro of the song has a slightly more upbeat tone, it just has a hopeful tone that makes you feel like, it makes you think like, yeah, I've got a heavy little heart, but it will get better. I'll get through this. This has the bones that really make it easy to form an emotional connection with, and maybe that's because this reminds me a lot of the music I grew up on, and I will derail this essay to talk about that because it's relevant enough. As a child, I grew up on a lot of music my parents love, and some of it carried down to me, while some of it didn't. I'm not a jam band guy, much to my Grateful Dead loving parents' dismay, but two of the biggest lullabies from my childhood did stick with me. One of them likely explains why I went on to love storytelling, and both explain why I am perpetually a sad bastard. And before getting into what those songs are, I would like to say that I am lucky enough to have heard both of these songs performed live by their original artists, which means so much more than you could ever know. Now, the songs in question are both weirdly relevant to this album's sound, as one of them is Sam Stone by John Prine, and the other is 16 Days by Whiskeytown. 16 Days is a song that can be played any number of ways, and the way I heard live was a stripped down version of the song that was just Ryan Adams and a guitar that was, for lack of any better words, the most fucking gorgeous thing you've ever heard live. 16 Days wouldn't be entirely out of place on a normal Red Vox album, maybe on something more like Another Light or Realign. Sam Stone, on the other hand, is a proper folk country song, all about a man coming home from the Vietnam War, addicted to heroin, driving his family into poverty due to his addiction, and eventually dying from an overdose. It's told a lot more eloquently and poetically than that, but you get the idea, right? It's one of the saddest songs ever made, and as a story and sound, it wouldn't be entirely out of place on Kerosene, but it would definitely be a lot more country than not. I go on this tangent to say that these songs are very foundational for me, and Heavy Little Heart strikes a good midpoint between them that likely explains why I think it's the best song on the album. Now, I do have to rein it in a little bit and say that as amazing as Red Vox is, their songwriting does not hold a candle to either John Prine or Ryan Adams, because my point was that sonically, if this album strives to be more like those songs, I think it very easily would have made this their best album, period, like generally considered. That said, this is definitely my favorite album of theirs, and I still have some tracks to talk about, so let's get back on the rails. Leave Me Alone is another top-tier song on this album. The lyrics are great, the sound is phenomenal, and there's something about the line, "Through virtue or through pain, these memories will make the man they break," and the absolutely phenomenal chorus of, "Please don't leave me with no other way. Please just leave me alone. I'm trying to get lost, but I don't know the way. So please just leave me alone." That tickles my brain in the exact right way that I adore. And how perfectly that track flows into Why Die on a Hill is perfect. I love this track a lot, but I don't have much to say on it, so I'm gonna move on to perhaps the biggest song on the album. Hungry Ghost is a fantastic song that gets a little weird and experimental with it, feeling a lot more in line with something off of Another Light, while also being an amazing track that feels perfectly tied to this album. The sound is a lot more intense compared to everything else. The lyrics are neat, and God, that sound, just listen to it. Cemetery Window is a beautiful closing track that, like the end of In a Dream, teases what's to come next. But before that, I think this might be the best pinned song on the album, talking about being unable to see the good things in life, and the sound is fantastic, but that ambient ending melody really sells the track for me. It's so quiet and synthy, almost like it's being heard from far away and distant, kind of like this album is compared to the rest of the Red Vox discography. This album is really interesting to me because I know it's not the most popular Red Vox. I know the lead singer himself isn't the biggest fan of it, as he's on record as saying that this is, quote, not a happy album, but it all comes from a real place. And that shows. This album clearly came from a rough place, and not loving that album that resulted from the unhappy headspace you were in writing it makes a lot of sense if you're the person who wrote it. As a listener, though, I adore this album so much. It's so unique and special compared to the rest of their discography that I find it so fascinating. I love that sad bastard music a lot. I mean, just wait until the day I talk about The Cure for a whole video, and this album scratches that itch for me in just the right way. I don't recommend starting here if you're new to Red Vox, but I absolutely cannot recommend listening to this album all the way through enough. It is so pretty. Look, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I really like Realign, but it is at this point I have run out of unique ways to talk about every single song on albums, and especially Vision and Afterthoughts, since those are that's the album I'm the least familiar with. And as much as I like Realign, I don't have much to say that I haven't said before. That said, this album as a whole is a more refined and varied version of Another Light. It's got the synths that I love. It's got some of and I want to go over some particular highlights from this album. Why Can't This Be Easy has a sound reminiscent of The Cure, particularly an earlier Cure song, Jumping Someone Else's Train, which is fantastic. The reason this is happening is just a solid jam. Be Someone Forever is a track that drips of narcissism and ego. Ozymandias is a certified English major classic. And of course, Pale Blue Dot is up there in the upper echelons of Red Vox tracks. As a whole, I really do like this album. It's one of my favorites, even if I don't have too much to say about it. I dig how varied this album is sonically. It goes all over the place, yet feels very cohesive. And I appreciate some of the more environmentally conscious tracks that are buried among the usual existential tracks we expect from this band. Oh, hey, look, it's the double album. And I don't got it in me to talk about all 20 songs on this thing, so I'm going to listen to the whole thing and then highlight my top 5 tracks between each one, because I'm just running on fumes mentally. I do feel a little bad reducing this album to just 10 tracks, but I've listened to so many songs and I only know so much about music, okay? Okay, so that album just as a whole proves that Red Vox keeps improving more and more, getting more and more refined as they make more music. I mean that in a good way. They're clearly digging out their niche and their sound while still experimenting. From the first half, Visions, the song Temple is a damn good track that's a lot harder than the first 2 songs, and it's a lot more fun sonically. The problem for me is that lyrically, a lot of Visions feels the same. Even if sound-wise we're getting a little weird with it in an alt-rock, new wave kind of way. That said, back to the tracks I love, There's a Place feels a lot like Jumping Someone Else's Train by The Cure, which is a song I do really like for an earlier Cure song, and it makes this track stand out a lot more among its peers. As a whole, though, I don't love Visions too much. In terms of track, there's really only 2 that I liked of the 10 that make it up, which is disappointing to say the least. Afterthoughts, though, we come out the gate swinging with Eminence, which has such an amazing, almost Rush-esque vibe with that synthy rock that hits really hard. And it was only 2 tracks into Afterthoughts that I realized I might have to talk about more than 10 songs or whatever, because Playing by the Rules is incredible. Almost a Stranger is such a mellow jam about being yourself in a stark contrast to Be Someone Forever, which is a cool connection musically. Now Traces, oof, what a fucking track, man. Traces is Red Vox's Jeremy meets Pumped Up Kicks, and yeah, this is an emotionally devastating take on a lot of things related to that theme that I am not explicitly saying because I don't want to bring the mood down that far, but give the song a listen and read the lyrics, you'll get it immediately. Moving on, Saturnine, whatever, is another sad bastard track, but in a floating through space kind of way that I dig. Keep It Together reminds me a lot of the opening verse of More Than a Feeling by Boston. Forgetter is a much lighter sounding song with a music video featuring a classic gray alien and lyrics that really make you think that you should forget her and move on. And you know what? That's some solid advice. The last track on the album, As Long As I Can Dream, is a slow song that feels like an appropriate closer to the double album that is Visions and Afterthoughts. As a whole, I'm torn on this album, because Afterthoughts is so good, but Visions kinda brings it down for me. I don't entirely vibe with Visions, and that makes me a little sad because I love this band, and not enjoying something that they made doesn't feel right, but Afterthoughts recovers and makes this a really solid record. Not my favorite of theirs, but a good album nonetheless. There are a couple of singles that aren't officially on any album, and I've got a couple that I want to talk about pretty quickly, since they're the stragglers that wouldn't feel right if I didn't cover them. And we're gonna barrel through 8 songs because that is about as much as I've got left in me in terms of what I can talk about uniquely. Trolls and Goblins is among the first Red Vox songs and was made as a charity incentive, and it's a neat little fantasy song. It's pretty short, all about a troll who wants some lunch, he steals it from a goblin, then he gets killed for it. Yet it's got a really high quality to it that makes this a lot more special than you'd think it'd be. That's all I have to say about it, and as my starting point for this band, I could really only ask, what could go wrong if I started listening to their other stuff? And the rest was now this video. Now, this is a weird one. Stranded was a bonus track on the vinyl release of Another Light, and this is Red Vox's longest song, a 9-minute track reminiscent of Space Oddity meets Shine On You Crazy Diamond, all about a guy stranded in space going through his final days as he slowly dies out there, unable to be reached by anyone on that pale blue dot. It's a really sad track, but holy hell is it a damn good prog rock song from these guys. It wears its influences on its sleeves, but you really have to hear it for yourself. Garbage Land is a Beck song. I mean, it's a Red Vox song all about rats in New York, but in the time of chimpanzees, I was a monkey. But really, this song was a one-off that I adore so much. I mean, it's a lot of fun, and it really reminds me that I need to listen to more Beck, and I have to talk about this song's Easter egg in The New Flesh. In The Flesh, once you've collected every album cover you can, go up to these dancing rats on a trash can and interact with them to go to the mystical Garbage Land, where dancing rats and trash cover the entire map. There's a dancing alien, all sorts of fun stuff, and a bit that I love so much. This is a real reward for collecting things, I tell ya. But seriously, this song is such a banger, and I can't recommend it enough. They weren't lying, those rats did eat pizza out of garbage cans. Clone Me is a neat little track, most notably for the music video being shot entirely on a Game Boy camera. Yeah, and it's got a cool little Easter egg in The New Flesh where you use the Clone Boy, the legally distinct Game Boy's camera, to look at a pile of TVs and see the Clone Me video playing. As for the song, I don't really care all that much. I just wanted to talk about the neat and interesting video and all that cool stuff. AV is the first song in The New Flesh. I'm a little embarrassed I didn't remember this because its single did come out before The New Flesh did, kind of substantially. And it is a single from the currently, as of me writing and saying this, untitled 6th album, and I do enjoy it a bit. My enjoyment of it is harmed by having listened to it so many times, trying to complete The New Flesh blindly and not being able to skip it, but besides the point. It's got this really relaxed vibe that I enjoy, a hint of surrealism, and it's a good little track. Crony is another single from the same upcoming album, but once more, it's a fine track that I enjoy, I just don't have much to say. Sorry, Crony, but I've got a real Red Vox song to talk about. And that song is... This song was a joke. It's incredibly stupid, it spawned from an improvised bit, and it's a real pop-punk banger. If I haven't done it already by playing bits and pieces of other Red Vox songs, potential copyright issues be damned, I am absolutely going to risk playing Scoot the Burbs in its 1 minute entirety, because I need you to understand how special this song is, and how much of an earworm it is.
Scoot the burbs, scoot the burbs. Yeah, motherfucker, yeah, eat a dick. Scoot the burbs, scoot the burbs. This fucking game, it makes me sick. I don't know how I'll ever please you. I don't know how to fucking please you. So I just scoot the burbs, scoot the burbs. If I could fly, I'd be a bird. Scoot the burbs, scoot the burbs. This game controls like a bag of turds. I'll scoot until I'm fucking pregnant. I'll scoot until the piss runs down my thigh. So I just scoot the burbs, scoot the burbs, scoot the burbs, scoot the burbs.
I mean, I'm gonna scoot the burbs until piss runs down my thigh, or whatever the song says. And I tell you all of this because this track perfectly leads me into talking about what I've been keeping secret this whole time, why I, and pretty much everyone else, knows about this band. Scoot the Burbs was born from a bit based on this music from a game called Razor Freestyle Scooter for the Game Boy Color, and that song is this. Now, you may be wondering what the hell a shitty video game has to do with Red Vox, and the answer is so much. Because the lead singer of Red Vox is a streamer named Vinny of Vinesauce fame, and this is where things get stupid but really funny. I enjoy Vinesauce streams a lot. I quote so many bits from various streams. I've even referenced the "What must I do?" bit in a video I've done, and I use it so much in my personal life. But more importantly, it stands as a complete and utter contrast to the music I've just talked about for an absurd amount of time. Vinesauce is an incredibly stupid, vulgar, and comedic stream 95% of the time. That other 5% consists of real and sincere emotions, but don't be fooled, that 5% is a lot rarer than you think. That sincerity is usually reserved for the music, and it's a split that I think is interesting. But really, the most interesting thing is that technically this is YouTuber music. And against all odds, this is some damn good music made by someone that's also incredibly funny. I mean, funny by my standards, because if you're not gonna laugh your ass off over things like the humble weed whacker, Watto impressions, and the word speen, then I'm afraid this isn't for you. The music might be more for you, but I honestly think knowing what the lead singer is up to with shit like commercial chaos and corrupting video games really gives you a deeper appreciation for the artistry of Red Vox. I mean, this is how you get the best song in their entire discography with
Scoot the burbs, scoot the burbs. Yeah, motherfucker, yeah, eat a dick.
Anyways, that's all I've got. These music videos always end up being a little weirder than the average video, but honestly, I'm just here to have fun and make recommendations on music you should check out because it's all so good and wonderful. With that, my name is A Leg of Glazed Ham, and thank you for listening to me ramble about music I like a lot. It means so much. Go listen to some Red Vox, alright? Anyways, thanks again, and good night!